Hey folks, Adam here, and today we're going to be talking about the JHS, oh boy, JHS Little Black Amp Box. Now, if you're like me and you are primarily a bedroom player, you don't get out very much, and you primarily play on tube amplifiers, you probably have the same problem that I do, unless you are just blessed by miraculous master volume controls. Tube amps sound really, really good when they're loud, which can be a problem if you're a bedroom player like me, or possibly you. And when you turn them down, they don't sound that great. And so that is the paradox of the tube amp with the bedroom player. They sound really good loud, but you can't really play them loud, so you have to turn them down, and they don't sound really good turned down. So what do? Well, one potential option is to use something like this, the Little Black Amp Box. So JHS, it's kind of weird. They market this, or a couple sites market this as a passive attenuator. Let me be clear. This doesn't do what an attenuator does. So if you're new kind of to the realm of like volume controllers and attenuators and load boxes, keep in mind, this doesn't work like a typical attenuator does. So an attenuator, you run between your amplifier and your speaker cabinet, and it converts watts to heat or something, and then the net result is you're able to, crank up your amp and get all that tube goodness at a lower volume that's not going to blow your head off. This is not what this is. This is basically a volume box. And so the concept is not really innovative, right? If you've been around the block, you know that putting a volume pedal in your effects loop or having an equalizer with a volume control does almost exactly, if not exactly the same thing that this does. The difference here, and really where it's innovative, is in terms of its execution. Now, this is not designed to go on your pedal board. It's designed to go on top of your amp, whether it's a head or a combo. It's supposed to sit right on top, and effectively it gives you another master volume. Now, I've had some great success with the Little Black Amp Box with my current amp, which is a PRS Archon 25. So the Archon 25 is an awesome sounding amp. However, in this little 12x10 office, once you get to the sweet spot, it's almost too loud. So typically, for me, my playing style, sweet spot is right around 9 o'clock on the channel volume for both the lead and the clean channel. That's really where the amp starts to come alive, but that's really when it starts to bounce off the walls and start to kind of beat you into ear fatigue. And so way too loud. However, the problem with turning it down, like I said before, is it gets a little fizzy, it loses all the low end, just does not sound very good. So I put this in the effects loop, and boom, I was able to get my amp up to a decent level, get the preamp tubes cranking, get the gain structure that I needed, and then magically able just to turn that master volume down. So today I'm going to show you how to plug the Little Black Amp Box into your amp's effects loop and then do a playthrough. Now, one thing I thought about was, I know that YouTube compresses audio a little bit, and so I was worried that folks were not going to be able to hear exactly what this is doing to my amp in this room. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use this sound pressure level meter machine that I got off Amazon for like $16. Amazing. I'm going to put this about a meter away at the level of the speaker, and I'm going to have my camera fixed on the readout. So as I'm kind of playing through clean, crunch, drive tones, you'll be able to see kind of, two things. Hear exactly how it sounds in the room as best as you can with the compression. But more importantly, I'm going to switch my amp's effects loop on and off so you can understand what exactly the Little Black Amp Box does to the sound pressure level. For today's playthrough, I'm going to be using Blue, which is my 2005 Fender US Telecaster. It has a Seymour Duncan parallel axis in the bridge, and then a 59, chrome covered 59 rather, in the neck. So we'll have ourselves a playthrough, and then I'll come back at the end and we'll talk about what we heard. So here we go. All right, so how to hook up the little black amp box to your amp's effects loop. So step one, get yourself a little black amp box and put it on top of your amp, and that's it. You're done. No, I'm just kidding. So as you can see here, I put the little black amp box on top of my amp. One other thing that I do is I make sure that the JHS logo is always facing outwards, so it's right here on the front. I find that it's just a better way, especially for my FX loop, to run all my cables. And one thing to keep in mind is the input is this side right here with the graphic. That is the input of the little black amp box, and then the other side, obviously, is the output. I find that having it on top of the amp is actually makes it really sturdy. Tends not to slip around or just sits securely right in front of the amp's handle. All right, now we're gonna plug in the cable that's connected to the input of your first pedal that'll go in the loop. That'll go into the send jack of the amp. And if we follow the input cable that goes into the first pedal of the chain, which in my case is a BBE Sonic Stomp Mini, and yes, I use a Sonic Stomp, we're gonna get to that later. And if you're a gear troll, I feel your judgment and I resist your judgment. Besides, look how cute that thing is. I mean, it just fits perfectly right there. So anyways, our cable runs through the delay, through the reverb, and then goes back up to the back of the amp. Now, under normal circumstances, the cable connected to the output of the last pedal in the loop would plug into the return jack right here. Not so with the little black amp box. Instead of plugging it into the return, you plug it into the input of the little black amp box right here. And an acronym that helps me remember what goes where for the effects loop is send, input, return, output, or SIRO, SIRO, which is a really stupid acronym that no one should ever use, but because I'm an idiot, it works for me. And finally, you connect the output of the little black amp box to the return of the amp. And for this, I use this 12-inch double right angle cable here. That just makes it nice and easy to plug in. And now we're ready to play. Alright, so hopefully that helped clear up what the little black amp box is all about. Now, again, like I said before, nothing too innovative in terms of the concept. Any volume pedal or equalizer with a volume knob have been able to do this in the past and have been done with great results by a lot of other players. But its execution, I think, is what sets it apart. The fact that you can put this on top of your amp and effectively have another volume control. I know folks like me, with the Archon, which is a particularly touchy amp with the volume, this really allows me to knock it down to a level where my wife and kids won't hate me forever, and I'll get to still play and retain the low end and not as much fizz. One thing that I will point out is when I got down to some of the extreme low settings, hopefully you can hear that in the video, but you probably saw me kick on the Sonic Stomp mini pedal. And so, no, that's not the reason I bought the Sonic Stomp, but it is the reason I kept the Sonic Stomp. I find that as you get to really, really low levels, passively attenuating with this, the Sonic Stomp helps to put some of those high frequencies back that it lost. If you are a bedroom rocker, if you have a Hot Rod Deluxe or an amp like that, which has a very touchy master volume control, if you have the PRS MT15, the Tremonti, which again, super touchy volume control, if you have a non-master volume amp that happens to have an effects loop, this would be an excellent choice for you. It's nothing that you can't make if you're some kind of scientist. It's $45, so you could probably make it for half that, but I mean, come on. This looks really freaking cool. I will say, I flung this across the room accidentally a few weeks ago while changing cables out, and I thought it was over, and it survived. So this thing is very, very resilient. Definitely gig worthy, able to carry around in a gig bag if you need to, and yeah, it solved my problem, and hopefully if you're a bedroom rocker, it solves yours too. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.